All right, I'm working on sharing my presentation here again. Oh, it looks like it's going to start from the beginning. That's all right. We'll get there. Oh, no. Okay, this is the slide that I wanted to be on. So you can see through the eyes of someone with executive functioning deficits. Um, right, completely overwhelming, and just looking at that, there's definitely a great strategy that you can use with that. I mean, looking at yeah, that gives me anxiety. um, so what you could do, is you break the task down into smaller things, like maybe you have your child pick up all like the balls, footballs, baseballs, and put those in like one corner. Or maybe you have them do quadrants and they just work on cleaning up a small quadrant at a time, maybe one day one quadrant and the next one another one. So there are definitely ways to get through this executive functioning problem. And yeah, hopefully that room doesn't smell bad. It looks like there could be some food. Oh, I think I see a pizza box. Yeah. Again, such a GT kid right here, right? So we have, right, but mom, all you said was get your stuff off the floor. Uh-huh, and on the bed though. Yep, very GT, very literal. So this is an excellent strategy. This is from Sarah Ward. My entire staff at Parmalee has been trained, and she is just an executive functioning guru. Does amazing trainings. I definitely encourage you to look at some of her resources and or sign up for a training. So basically, what this is, right? You can't just tell a child with executive functioning deficits, go do your homework, right? I mean, that's so broad and what. So she has this method of get ready, do, and done, right? So, what do you need to do to get ready to finish your math assignment, right? You probably need your math book, you need pencils, maybe a calculator, a compass, protractor, what have you, right? And the do, I really like this column because you have your task and about how long do you think it will take you to do that, right? And so you're really just breaking it down into smaller steps so it doesn't seem so overwhelming. And then at the done, right? Something new, right? Similar to something you've done before. And when I'm done, how will you feel? Hopefully really great because, the math homework, I keep going back to math because that was my most difficult subject in school. But yeah, you feel great because it's done and you get to move on to other things and you actually understood the concept. And what's strange is I always start with the last slide, but really what Sarah Ward wants you to do is kind of do sort of a backwards thinking with this. And so you would actually start on one or start with the done, with the red, right? What does it look like? What does done look like? So, thinking back to, let's say, well, let's move on to a research project for your language arts class. What does it look like? Well, it looks like, I have my visual, I have my outline, I have my 5 paragraph essay, and that's all done. So what steps did I need to do that, right? So again, we're moving kind of backwards. We're on two now in the green on the do. What did I need to do that? Well, first I had to start with some research, okay? And then I wrote down some notes. I turned that into an outline. And then I was able to take my outline and turn that into the paper. And then finally, I got to do the fun part and I did my vision board. Um, right? And what materials will I need? And that just depends. Again, you could use that list of what materials you need and depends on which part of your project that you are working on at the time. Again, another great Sarah Ward strategy. This is especially great for younger children. You can see what you do is you actually take a picture of your child when they are ready and they are looking like their executive functioning is all together. And then you can kind of have the checklist, right? And this just really especially helps younger kids because they see themselves and they see what they look like. And that really goes back to the temporal lobe and really like the visualizing more than just the language aspect of it, right? So, with this little girl, her headband's important, right? Got to have your coat. Love it when we have kids showing up to school in January without coats. Must have some executive functioning lagging skills there for sure. Got to have your snack, your bag, your homework, your notebook, your gym shoes, right? So it has it all there and it's labeled and she knows exactly what she needs to look like to be ready for school. And it's kind of just the basic thing, when what if you're doing a science project or you're doing something else, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm going to do science now. You need to have the specific chemicals. You need to have the microscope with the right lenses. You need to have different tools, your Bunsen burner, whatever that requires. And obviously, of course, you're going to want to have your planning sheet ready to go as well. Here's just an idea. This is a great way. Of course, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but this is just an easy tool that kids can use, right? You have your completed homework, your forms and letters on one area. Then the other side, handouts, worksheets, notes from class, forms for parents, right? It's just a great way. And of course, you can curtail that to whatever is going to work best for you and your child. This is a morning routine checklist. Again, this is just kind of easier if you don't do the picture, but what we've really found is if you have the actual picture of your child, that is more effective. But this might be a good starting point where you have everything and you have the symbolic representation. And you can use the checklist with that. We have stop and read the room. So I use this a lot with my kids, especially when I have them pulled out for small groups or other things, because, the last thing the teacher wants is for there to be a huge interruption going back into the class, running up to the teacher. What are we doing? What should I be doing? Right. So we really focus on stopping and reading the room. Right. So what is the space? What's going on in the classroom? What's expected right then? Are people silently reading or is it more of a discussion? Time, get on the timeline, right? So, teachers have things very well set up. Math is usually the same time every day. Vocabulary is usually the same time. Read alouds are the same time, right? So kids should know, especially by this point in the year, kind of what goes on at what time during the day. Objects, sense the organization. How are things organized? Location, purpose, consider the basis for their organization, right? So it's, where are things in the room? What should you be using? Do you need to be having markers at that point? Are you using a ruler? Are you using the book? Is everyone using the same book? And then finally, people, and this one's just really important, right? Look around. Is it a discussion? Are people being loud? Is it kind of more of a fun time, or is it, very serious and they're taking a test and it's absolute silence is expected, right? And so this just takes practice, but, I really love the term, it's stop and read the room, read that room. So you have your situational awareness. This one, I think I still have nightmares about this happening, right? I'm sure we probably all do, right? That there's a test or something major that you missed. And again, why do we as adults use planners, right? So hopefully this doesn't happen. You can look ahead and know what's due. I really like this homework planning chart because it really just puts it into perspective, right? You have your subject, what you need exactly to take home. At home, what you need to get. When will I do this, right? I see kids so often, I'll ask them, I'm so overwhelmed. There's just so much homework. Okay, well, when are you doing your homework? I don't know. It depends. Well, it's really, really a great idea, to get that scheduled and to have a specific time of day. And it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. Maybe some kids like to go home and get it done right away. Others like to do an activity, or they do have after school activities. So maybe it makes more sense after dinner, but it is good if you can get in the habit of doing that at the same time. And I really like this column too. Who will help? Who will check it, right? Just keeping your child responsible, so that you're checking and making sure that the homework's done and where to put it when you're done. Oh, I saw this with as a middle school counselor so much. Kids would do the entire assignment and then what happened to it? Who knows? It disappeared. If you're going to do the work, make sure you know where you're putting it so you can turn it in. This is just kind of, like the big calendar. So again, I'm kind of thinking back to the research project. What do you need to do first? First, you need to do your research, whether that's online or using books. And then, you can start to jot some notes down, and then you form the outline, and maybe you do some of the writing, and then you do your visual and, just kind of really thinking through things, because especially those massive assignments, those can be very overwhelming. I had an interesting experience last year with one of my fifth grade groups. It was like a big book report and, kind of working with them to try and figure that out. And one kid just, he could not start with the research. That's just not where his brain was. He really wanted to start with the visual and to start with, doing his Google slideshow. So I said, okay, we can try that. Not the way my brain works, but it worked great for this kid, right? Because he was able to get excited about what he was doing. He was able to do more of the artistic, which is where he really shines, and start that way. And then he was able to go back through and start to do the research and kind of fill more in that slideshow. So different techniques for different people with executive functioning. Right. And again, this is where, if we can have the get ready, do done, you're not just kind of wandering around procrastinating or not really getting to the main part of what needs to be accomplished. So here we have, obviously you won't have access to this right now, but when we do have the office hours on the 24th, you will have access to this. And these are just some excellent resources here, right? You have function activities by age, what should be expected. You have a questionnaire for teens, and then also one for younger students. Also have, our Jeffco GT website. We have lots of executive functioning, different ideas, different things to help your gifted kids. A very, very thorough website with that. And there are just some other excellent websites. Again, you see Sarah Ward, our executive functioning guru, has her EF practices, which has all of the handouts that I've kind of explained, and then so much more. And obviously, I can't answer any questions right now, but I will